So, for weeks now, I have been so looking forward to doing this episode to update you on everything that was going on behind the scenes. And I'm sitting here literally with a giant knot clench in my stomach because I've had such an unexpected, emotional eruption, for lack of a better word, about this whole thing this morning. I'm still feeling pretty raw about it, but we have deadlines. So we have to record this episode today and make sure it gets ready for launching on Tuesday. But I just want to let you know this is one of the most difficult weeks I've had to show up here. Every journey starts with a choice, and mine is a bet. For 1 year, I'm gambling on energy over strategy. No more forcing and no pushing. Just the courage to show up and see what happens when reality becomes my playground. This isn't a podcast. It's a real-time experiment in the lab of my life. Welcome to the bet. I want to say something before I get into any of this, because I know myself and I know that by the time this episode actually comes out in a few days on Tuesday, there is a chance, not a small chance, that I am going to feel completely different about everything that I'm going to say right now. There's a very weird thing, I guess, about recording something when you're raw. I haven't fully processed where all these emotions are coming from or what they mean, but I'm still capturing it in the truth of the moment. And I very well recognize that that truth and the meaning I give to it is probably going to shift before anyone hears it. So there's a part of me that's like, don't put this out there. People are going to think you're stuck in some kind of loop when they hear the episode. And maybe that's not actually true. Maybe I'm just processing it. But that's also the entire point of this podcast. I have committed to documenting the real, actual journey that I'm on. And the real thing right now is the knot in my stomach and some stuff that I need to work out. And part of that's going to be out loud, I guess, because just the timing of how all of this lands. So here we are. I'm going to give you some context first, because there's something that happened in March that I never really talked about on the show. I teased about it a little bit, but last month I mentioned that I had something big coming, or had a project that had been kind of in the works, and I knew I was planning to launch it in March. I wasn't really ready to talk about it because it hadn't been fully birthed out into the world. I don't like to leak my energy on something until the baby is born. That's kind of how I direct things. I don't like to put something out there until it is actually out there, able to stand on its own and be a physical thing that we can point to. So for 7 months, I have kept it mostly quiet, maybe like dropping an occasional hint, but never saying anything specific. And today I'm going to tell you it's a second podcast, an actual podcast, and it's called Useful Thinking. Useful Thinking launched last week, and I have been building toward this podcast for over 2 years, working on it, refining it, sitting with the structure of how I want it to be, the purpose, the intention, knowing that I had a lot of the ingredients, but the full recipe for what I wanted to create hadn't quite come together yet. It was like I knew that I needed to really do all of the internal work, enough of the internal work to know exactly what I wanted it to be. I needed to ground and root myself into this so deeply because my vision for useful thinking is big. It is really my life's work and my life's mission to help people learn the operating system of the mind so that they are able to entertain only thoughts that are useful for what it is that they're trying to create in this world. So my two things that are getting my full focus are my Substack and useful thinking. They're the things I am most clear about in terms of what I'm here to create. My work, in terms of my coaching and teaching at the university, is separate from that. Of course, that's getting my attention and energy as well. But in terms of creation, those are my babies. So I knew since probably last November or December that I was going to launch this in March. That was the date that really felt alive for me. And I ended up launching it on March 31st. I waited till the last day of the month, even though I had the episodes recorded, I put it off. I'm going to tell you what happened when I did, because it's the reason I think I have a knot in my stomach this morning. I posted the launch on my Instagram and I sent the promo episode out into the world, and then episode 1 dropped the following day. And no one in my immediate circle of friends, like my close little girl gang, said anything, not a word. To be fair, it's not like I had texted them directly and said, hey, I did a thing and I'm launching this. I hadn't sat down with anyone and said, hey, this is happening and this is what it means to me. I just posted it the way you post things when you're building something in public, right? And some part of me, though, expected the people who know me and know what I've been working on and know where my energy is going, especially the last few years. I think a part of me expected that they would notice this. And then something else happened to kind of layer on top of this. Someone in my circle had a really big win this week as well. They shared it with our little group and everyone was celebrating them enthusiastically, and rightfully so. I was right in there celebrating too. But the whole time, this other layer was sitting underneath it. And I went to Mike and I said to him, do you understand what this actually is? Do you get that this is the week I launched Useful Thinking? Like, this is the culmination of everything I have been building toward for years. And it has been something that I have just worked on deliberately until I had put in enough time and enough focus and attention to know exactly what I want it to be. And now it exists. I did it. I've been wanting to do this for years. It's one of those things I've been wanting to do, and I've been wanting to do it in a way that feels meaningful, that could help as many people as possible. And I did it. And he just didn't get that. I mean, he was like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't realize it was such a big deal to you. I was like, how is this not landing with people? Like, I don't get it. And I realized I thought I had healed that part of myself that expects the people closest to me to witness the things I'm doing. And I realized we never heal these parts. We just reach deeper layers of the tenderness. And this layer really caught me off guard because I really did believe, and I do believe, that I have done so much work on this. I've programmed myself over a very long time, a sustained amount of time, to love the journey more than the destination. And thank God I have done that, because I truly have fallen in love with the journey of becoming the kind of person it takes to do something. That is far more satisfying to me than the actual thing itself. I have found such a reward in the building versus the arriving. Like, what I had to do in order to arrive. That is the work I celebrate, really, not the creation of the thing, but how I've had to create myself in order to do that thing. And so this week, when I finally got to this destination that I've been focused on, I actually launched Useful Thinking. And I saw all the closest people around me just continue to move throughout their days. Like, no big deal. And I told myself logically, I'm like, maybe people are just so used to me creating things that this doesn't seem like anything unusual to anyone. I don't know. I don't know why it hit me like that. But thankfully, I have built all of the internal reward into the doing, which means like, there shouldn't be that much left in the arriving. So the milestone didn't deliver like what milestones are supposed to deliver when we think about them, because I had already metabolized my growth along the way. And I've got to experience what living in that growth actually feels like. I've got to experience what 3 years of showing up and building and refining and growing, what that looks like. And by the time it went live, I actually launched the podcast. I realized I've already lived that. I am that. So, on one level, that is the epitome of all my work succeeding. But on another level, this is where I'm going to get emotional. It's very strange kind of loneliness. It feels lonely to reach something you've been moving yourself toward for years. And feel like there's no one to share it with. That feels lonely to me. You know, that absence of fanfare and camaraderie and, things I didn't realize I was still waiting for. The little girl inside of me was probably waiting to be recognized. So I've been sitting with that this morning. I did not expect that to come up, but it did. And I just have to let it be what it is. I took a long walk to really process this. And this is the part no one talks about. This is the part no one talks about. The people who are out there building things in public and they share all the wins, or they share after it has worked out. They share their lessons after they've learned them. It feels very clean and very neat and very inspiring, and it makes you want to take action. But here I am sharing it while it's kind of a caca feeling and we don't have a resolution. But that is what I committed to doing here. And this is one of those times where that commitment is going to be what carries me through. So that's where I'm at right now. Moving on from that, let's get into the stats. Hopefully this will help. Anytime I feel emotional, I try to go do something like that engages the logical part of my brain, right? So my limbic system is in high gear right now. So I got to activate my prefrontal cortex. Let's look at some stats, or I go like organize a dresser drawer, something. Okay, let's talk about my favorite, Instagram. We had 3,512 views for the month of March, and I only made 14 pieces of content, which is less than last month, which was already low. Yeah, I don't know even if I even want to talk about Instagram anymore. I'll come back to it because I do have a couple things to think about that. I got 31 new followers somehow. I don't know how that even works. Okay, The Bet, this podcast that you're listening to, we had 137 downloads in March for a total of 828. Really steady. It's basically the same amount that we had in February. So no growth, holding steady. Substack, baby number 2. Counting my babies as Useful Thinking Podcast and Substack, like in terms of what I'm creating this world, the things I really am nurturing. This is where the month really had some movement. This is where earlier in the month I was like, how is this happening? I had a huge energetic shift. I think I've talked about this in previous episodes about making Substack a weekly deliberate thinking practice. Like this is one space you can go to where you know if you read the article every week, you're going to be developing your ability to focus and direct your mind. Okay, so since I made that energetic shift, something has happened in the real world. It's crazy because my followers went from 43 to 79, and I gained like 20 or 23 new subscribers after 3 months of nothing. Maybe 3 new subscribers over a period of 3 months. I'd have to go back and look at the stats from the previous month, but it was frustrating. I know I did an episode on why is my Substack not growing when this is so important? This work is so important to me. I'm putting so much effort into it. It's not growing at all. All of a sudden, I'm getting like subscribers almost every day. So that feels really exciting. And then my total views were up as well. And what's interesting is I think that the number of views I had in March were like 670 something views. Normally, all my views are the articles that I wrote that month. Okay, so I went and looked, and of the 671 views, about 500 of those, 499 of those views were of my current March articles, which means the remaining 170 are people who are going back to read my older articles. And that was a detail that I wanted to point out, because something I really like about Substack is you truly do build a growing library of very valuable, useful content. So that's the first month I've seen that. Almost all of my views just go to the current articles each month. So to see that, I felt like that was really worth noting in my statistics. Okay, coming back to Instagram, I continue to watch my own resistance increase month after month. And I have been looking for some gear that I can shift, some way that I can shift my thinking or shift my framework for what Instagram is so that it fully activates me into being consistent and creating content on there every single day. I know all about how to do that. I am a master at shifting thoughts and shifting my beliefs about something in order to drive action. And what I realized is that it's layered for me. There's not one gear to shift. There's not one change that I can make to get me moving again. It's not binary, right? Cars have very definite gears. Humans don't always work that way. There's never just one thing. We might have to shift a gear here and then adjust our bearing over here and then change the temperature control so that the thermostat is set at a different level. And then maybe we put on a specific song. Like there's all these different variables to adjust in the way humans are motivated. The one thing I can really point to is I think I feel out of integrity. And not because I'm not posting when I said I was going to post. I feel out of integrity because my work, the stuff that I get lit up about, is all about teaching people how to direct their own attention. And Instagram is specifically engineered to hijack our attention. Every time I sit down to write a post and create a hook that is designed to catch someone in the scroll, to have them stop and read what it is that I have to say, I feel like I'm doing exactly what I teach people to interrupt. And it creates this inner tension in me. I can see why that's important. It's like, yeah, but I want to get their attention because I'm going to help them with their attention. But it feels manipulative. I feel manipulative. I heard Gary Vaynerchuk, if you've heard of him, talk recently, and he's just like planting his flag on this belief that anyone building a business right now should think of themselves as a media company. You are a media company first and foremost before you're anything else. You're a media company first who also happens to provide XYZ service. I heard that and my whole being kind of pushed back against it because I'm not trying to build a media company. I mean, I love creating useful content, but my focus is on connecting with the people of this world who are trying to do something significant so that I can help them build the mental architecture, the mental structure to support whatever they're trying to create. And I don't think those people are waiting to be caught by some hook. He was talking about how you should be posting on every single platform multiple times a day. So here I sit, I've got no clean answer still. It's one of those things. It's like, when am I going to make myself sick enough to either change something radically about it or like commit fully to it? I don't know yet. This is me. Like, I get sick of talking about it, but I'm also here to tell the truth. So that's where I'm at with it right now. There we are, people, 7 months in, and I've got such another big win I had this month. I did 2 different group talks, which I loved. I don't really even talk about those. Those are kind of word of mouth situations that pop up when I get invited to craft a presentation for groups. And I found that so amazing this month. I really, really lit up by doing that because I designed a couple of custom talks for different groups. So yeah, that was another thing I should have included in my monthly stats. I almost forgot it. So there we are. We're 7 months in. I continue to do the work. I can't help but feeling like this is one of those moments that are where you can't see what lies ahead, but you're so, so close to something, because I am having such emotional reactions about things and I'm feeling such resistance. It has to be an indication biologically that I am right there at my next level. Otherwise, my brain would not be responding this way. If I were not in some kind of new territory that felt either unsafe, unfamiliar, or like it was going to cost too much energy to do, my brain would be fully supporting this. And I find so much pleasure already in my work that I know it's not that. I teach this. After all of the emotionality of this morning, I had to physically remind myself to smile. I did that right before I picked up the mic. I did that, and I picked up my little black onyx tower crystal to ground into what I know to be true. Told myself, smile. Give myself a specific, deliberate instruction to my body, because I know when that resistance gets loud, when your ego is working that hard to make you feel like you're behind, or like you missed something, or maybe you were fooling yourself. Maybe you got this wrong. Nobody else can see what you're doing. Everything feels like it's too much to manage for me right now. That's usually a signal. That means the proximity to that new level is getting closer and closer. Something that must be close. And that helps me move myself forward. So, sitting with that. And now I got to go find a dress for a wedding that I'm going to be at in less than 2 weeks and finish my taxes. But month 7 is done. So I got that off the checklist. So I hope you're all just doing fabulous out there. And this was a real check-in, 100%. Sending you all love. Go bet on yourself.